Welcome to another podcast episode of One Door at a Time, brought to you by Concentric Educational Solutions. We're proud to be sponsored by Atlas Restaurant Group, going all across the country, but definitely here in the greater Baltimore area. They just announced yesterday, in fact, that they're opening their new headquarters downtown. So always want to give appreciation to Atlas Restaurant Group for supporting the opportunity to share stories from the field. And that's what really One Door at a Time is about. We're going to shift up the format a little bit. I've been hearing some feedback about how can we really get to some tangible solutions about some very salient problems. And today I have a wonderful guest here, Peter Kannam, who is the principal / executive director, Mr. Everything of Henderson Hopkins School in East Baltimore. I've had the opportunity to be with Peter now. We're going on year number 2. And I really wanted to get him on the show, to really talk about your innovative approach to addressing this persistent issue of chronic absenteeism, but then your dedication and your commitment to put the resources about it. So kind of tell us, share with everybody your journey. Like how did you, I know of you and I knew of you, but what was your journey to get to principalship?
So, I've been in education for 30 years now. I can't believe it. In 1993, I came here to teach. I taught in East Baltimore at Lombard Middle School. I was an 8th grade social studies teacher. I loved it. Coached soccer. It was great. From there, I led and managed nonprofits. Organization called Teach for America, recruiting and training teachers, new leaders, training and supporting leaders in the field. And then I started a national nonprofit called America Achieves. Thinking about policy. We did a lot on the race to the top in the States. And I was missing Baltimore. I was doing national work. So then I put my name in the hat for the school board. So I served 2 terms on the school board. So it's really leaning in and thinking about how we make the Baltimore City school system as great as it can be. And learned a lot. But then I was also missing being on the ground. So in that trajectory, in year 25, I hadn't ever been a principal of a school. And I've always wanted to do it. To dig in on the ground with the community and really try to think about dramatically moving the needle for kids. And so my wife jokes that I didn't, my midlife crisis, I didn't buy a red Corvette. I decided to be a principal. So at 48 years old, I became a first-year principal, and I'm in year 6 and loving it.
But I mean, that's a wonderful story because you went through so many stages. A lot of times, particularly, so I started, now this is my 24th year, started in 98, 99. And it's, even then they would start microwaving principals early on and trying to find that talent and develop it. What did at each step of the way, what did you take from that? Particularly like being a teacher, because I was a history teacher.
Well, teachers, leaders, like if you can be an effective teacher, I was proud in my 3rd year, I became teacher of the year at my school. If you could become an effective teacher, I feel like, our teachers are incredible, who are actually moving students, meeting them where they're at. It takes leadership to run a classroom. And I think if you can run a great classroom and get great results for your kids, you can do anything.
Absolutely.
So a lot of where I'm grounded in is and also have a sense of possibility and belief. My time at Lombard, people would have thought there were some people who didn't have belief in the students. But I realized that if you invest in them, give teachers the appropriate support, our kids can hit a high bar. And that's kind of been driving me in my career. Why
education and then why Baltimore? Because I want to talk about that trajectory from Baltimore to the national stage and back to Baltimore.
Why education is, it's actually a funny story. My junior year before graduating, you do the big internship. And I did the one at Morgan Stanley. And I was at Morgan Stanley, and I was assisting a stockbroker. Now, David, you and I are we're a little older. So I know, right? Back then, the stockbrokers had physical Rolodexes. And I was with the guy late at night, one night, he was making phone calls to try to get new business, and he made a sale. Slammed down the phone and said, "Peter, that's what life's about." Another sale. I'm on my way to a big house on Cape Cod. And I left that day, walking like late at night to the train station, saying, "My gosh, that's not what life's about." There has to be something more. So I think what's driving me is about impact.
Okay.
So I went and I found an organization in the early 90s called Teach for America.
Very early on. Yes.
Very early on. I was part of the second or third cohort. I got accepted to Teach for America and came and got assigned to Baltimore. I'd go to any city in the country, and Baltimore has become home for 30 years now. Met my wife through teaching.
Wow.
Have raised 3 boys in Baltimore. I love the city.
So it's similar to me. I'm not from Baltimore,
Yeah.
but I consider myself from Baltimore. Like it's ingrained. And a lot of people ask, like, why Baltimore? And for me, there's a grit.
Yep.
There's an edge. A lot of misnomers. But I truly feel like if you can really change, impact students here, you can kind of do it anywhere. Did you kind of experience that as well? Or?
Yeah, and you know what people don't talk about is like how wonderful the neighborhoods are.
Yeah.
And then how, like, as 2 educators, my wife and I, we raised a healthy, happy family here in a reasonable way. You know,
Wow.
other cities have gotten so exorbitant, so expensive.
Yes.
We could own our home in a nice place and raise our kids. And my thing is, I don't need 100 Mexican restaurants to go to. I need a couple, like a couple good ones. Like, Baltimore's a big town, and I love
Yes.
it. I mean, you see the excitement about, like, the Orioles right now. It's
Yes.
like it
Yes.
feels like a big town, and you know people, and I like that. You feel very at home. And the educational problems, that's become my passion, just persist. I mean,
Okay.
and my whole thing about Baltimore is, like, let's just take a round number, just like 200 schools.
Yes.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Let's think about what we can do at each school to get great outcomes, and we should be able to replicate that and share. So how do we close gaps? How do we accelerate every student? It's a good test case on how we move this work to scale and getting as many kids to get great outcomes as possible.
So you go from teacher, then you go to the nonprofit world.
Yeah.
I'm very interested because of your background as a teacher and then nationally. Talk to us a little bit about your stint on the school board. Like, what was the biggest thing that you learned, and what was some of the things that you didn't expect?
Yeah, I mean, what I learned, policy is important. Obviously, we got to put policy in place because that puts up the guardrails. And I was doing that in my national work too, like Race to the Top and how we should allocate resources. And policy is really important. Let me say that.
Okay.
But it's not my jam. It's not my thing. I'm a doer.
Yes.
I don't want to just give the kind of outline of how things should go. I want to actually get on the ground and do it. I want to, and so that became a challenge for me. Constantly giving suggestions, writing policy, encouraging people to do different pieces rather than digging in and working on it. So the school board's major job is to set policy, hire the superintendent, which I'm really proud of, Dr. Santelises.
Yes, absolutely.
Finishing her 2nd term. It's given the most stability to Baltimore City, and I was I was the vice chair at the time. Like,
definitely since we've been here.
Yeah.
Like, I think I went through 5. I've gone through 5. Something like that.
We got 7. I mean, she's going on her 7th year and has stability, and we got a lot of work to do, but we've had more stability than we've ever had.
Yes.
So I'm proud of that work. The budgets that we approved, more resources to mental health and academics, like things like that. But I literally did a walk around schools with a turnaround principal when I was a school board member.
Okay.
And this principal was on fire.
Okay.
He was in a building that some people could have said was falling apart. He didn't see that. He saw the beautiful children. He talked to me about how he's going to move things for kids and build a great community, and he was doing it. And I went home and said, I think I want to do what I want to do next to my wife. I want to be a principal, because it really is, you dig in, you work with teachers, students, and families and community to try to give them what they deserve. So
absolutely.
I love doing it. It's been a lot of fun.
No, and this is when we first met. Like, your energy from the principalship is infectious, and like we've had many principals on, and I'm a true believer. Outside of the students, obviously, and teachers, it's not minimizing anyone's position. I have not seen a successful school without a successful leader. They just really drive it. Karen Chenoweth has talked a lot about her work about it. So now you get into the principalship.
Yes.
What were some of your initial aha moments?
I mean, one we're going to talk about. I mean, like, so my aha moment is stability and leadership matters. Like we came in with a bit of a game plan. Like, number one, like adopt high standards, a curriculum to align to that, hire the absolute best educators, pound the pavement to get them to believe the educators matter. Like, yes, the principal sets the tone is there, but it's like, gosh, I'm getting a fabulous educator and recruiting them and training them up is really important. And one of my ahas was like, so we, in the first year after putting those things in place, a good curriculum, support of teachers, hiring really good people, making sure everything was in place. Crazy thing at my school was the resources were there, but they weren't flowing to the classroom. So you got, a lot of people think like, and especially with ESSER and the Maryland Blueprint.
Yes,
there's money coming.
The Kerwin funding, yes.
Question of that's really on the principal. We got to allocate resources in the best way to make a difference for kids. We've got to be strategic in resources. So I think I was able to do that. We became the most improved school after my second year in Baltimore City, and became in the top 5 in African American achievement in the entire city.
Congratulations.
Yeah, so I'm really proud of that. Pandemic hits, it's all hands on deck. Giving needs to the community. We're in a food insecurity area.
Yes.
So food becomes really a big part of what we're doing. And so we've given out hundreds of thousands of pounds of food to our community.
Oh, wow.
Partnered with the Maryland Food Bank. And then we've come back, Dave.
Okay.
And it's been an eye opener. Some of my most challenging years in my 30 years as an educator.
From the post-pandemic. Yes.
Post-pandemic. The last 2.5 years have been the most challenging.
What are some of the things that you're feeling from the pandemic that's still lingering on?
People talk about, we can talk about learning loss, like the kids are not where they need to be. My thing was, we should have looked at the gaps even before the pandemic.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
People are now opening their eyes saying, oh my gosh, the pandemic has brought a lot of learning loss. At the end of the day, we had major gaps before, and we had to put supports in place. And now we're just drawing more attention to it. It is exacerbated, yes. But yeah, so that's one thing I saw. Social emotionally. Students not learning how to healthily interact with each other. Social, like just talking things out.
And it's really pronounced the age group that you have.
Yeah.
Because if I'm thinking about 2020, when it happened, 3 years, 2.5 years roughly. I mean, because you go up to what grade?
8th grade.
8th grade.
K through 8th, yeah.
Like some of them, I'm thinking maybe your 4th graders, they were 1st grade, something like that, when maybe the pandemic hit, something like that.
Exactly.
And then they come back without having socialized for so long.
Yeah.
Did you feel some of that?
Yeah. Just like not being able to express themselves in healthy ways, getting very angry, going from 0 to 100. That's a big thing. Using their hands in an inappropriate way. So we're dealing with all those social, emotional, and behavior issues. But then one of the big things, and we're going to talk about this, is the chronic absenteeism.
Absolutely.
And the overall attendance numbers, and then the percentage of students who are chronically absent. It's really been a challenge. And there's been I feel like a mindset shift.
Yes.
That school's kind of optional. I come when I want to. And I'm really worried about that.
So I'm glad you framed it. One of the most pervasive challenges, like you said, learning loss existed before the pandemic. It was exacerbated after the pandemic. I think it got a lot of fringe students after the pandemic.
Yeah, true.
Even like with chronic absenteeism. So everything is a buzzword now. Chronic absenteeism, chronic absenteeism. What would you share that you learned about some of the things early on about chronic absenteeism, and then as you start shifting about ways to address it? So if the problem is chronic absenteeism, how did you frame that?
So it's really easy to understand the problem, right? If kids don't come to school, they're not going to be successful. Chronic absenteeism, your listeners know this, is if you miss 18 or more days of school, right? That's less than 90% attendance for the year. 18 days of learning, and there's much more than that. Our school right now, is at 32% of our students, 120 students who were chronically absent last year.
Okay.
Compared to close to, I don't know the exact number, but it's close to 50% across Baltimore City.
Yes.
So
just
a step back. 50% of the city.
Yes.
Kids are missing 18 or more days of school.
Yes.
That's a big deal.
Yes.
That's a big deal. And then overall attendance, we're at 91%, and I'm looking to get to 96%. And to be honest, I don't know what the city schools number is, but this isn't just so it's a simple problem to understand, right? Like, okay, like academic learning loss. Oh my God, how do I wrap my head around that? Well, you know what? If we get our kids to school, they're going to do better. But what's complicated, and you and I talk about this, Dave, is you have to have a case by case. Those 120 kids from last year are 120 different stories.
Absolutely.
We all want the easy, quick fix solution, and I was one of them. I said, "Come on, Concentric, let's knock on 120 doors," and we went and did it. You and I, 2 times. Every kid, 100. That's going to help it because we're gonna leave a doy hanger. I had a letter to hand to them. And we're gonna really shake it up, and people really get, oh gosh, I got to come to school. Didn't really move our numbers.
Nope.
What we did is we learned more about all the issues that families were feeling. So it's like peel the onion. People think, oh, it's transportation. Well, when you interview families, it wasn't transportation.
No.
Oh, it's uniforms. Oh, the kids, the uniforms or hair. Like maybe a couple.
Yes.
But it's not like, and it really, the only way I can describe what I've learned, and now you and I have ramped up a partnership where I've hired 2 people full-time showing up at my school, obsessing about every student who's absent every day. Yes. And we're making phone calls, and we're building kind of the story about every student and family to partner with them. But it's that's the kind of work that you need to do. There's not any quick fix. Oh, home visits. Let's just we're transportation. Well, let's Uber all the kids here. The crazy thing about what I've learned too from our data is that as many students from the younger years, pre-K, K, 2, we used to have those attendance numbers used to be really high. Now they're some of our lowest. Yes. Last Friday, for instance, 11 of my kindergarten students didn't come to school. 11 out of like 70. It was our lowest attendance day ever. And when we made the phone calls and got the data and information, a few went out of town, few didn't prioritize it, just said, we kept them home. Some people say they're sick, but you don't really know. Yes, absolutely. And it's like there was nothing concrete, but that's a big deal. Like it's not, and when I run a pre-K 8 and people talk to me about attendance and chronic absenteeism, oh, your middle school kids, they just cut and they're not coming. It's actually not true. Some of our best attendance is in middle school. Some of our worst is in the lower grades. Yes. So we're learning things, but the headline is you got to go case by case and understand each. And, you mentioned definitely the chronic absenteeism, but then you start talking into the depth of it, the problem, the causes, and really taking it by case by case. So when you start thinking about the solution, and you briefly mentioned about putting 2 people who are obsessed and focused on attendance, like how did you get there? Because this is my 14th year running Concentric, and my answer all the time to principals or district leaders when they're asking me, I say, I can do the visit, but it's deeper than that. Yeah. You are one of the very few that actually understood it on the ground level and got it. Like, what clicked for you to say, like, we have to be more in depth with this? What clicked is you and I did close to 200 visits, and the data I got back was as confusing as, so good, we did visits, and we can say we did them, but addresses weren't there. We left time. Phone numbers weren't there. It did not move the needle in and of itself. It gathers data and information. It's what you do with that. Exactly. Right? And so, I mean, I talk about this work as we have to do a reboot after the pandemic, and it's a mindset shift. It's literally, how do we change behavior? And it's not just in Baltimore City, it's across the country.
It's across the country.
Suburban,
Absolutely.
rural. People
Yes.
are seeing schools as more optional.
Yes.
And so you and I were just talking before, like, I see it as like behavior change and like how, like, you remember when we were growing up, a lot of people smoked.
Yep.
Now people aren't smoking. Like, there was a major behavior change that happened in our country, in the world. You go. I remember first time I flew abroad.
People were smoking on
the back of the plane, thinking,
yes, yes. Your point. Yes, very true.
I flew abroad this summer and there was no smoking. It's like, so we came
restaurants, everything. Yes,
we came up. We highlighted what the problem was as a country. And yes, there was major lawsuits and stuff, but like we raised the awareness. We got the public to understand, and we got to look at behavior change with attendance. We can't think it's an easy fix solution.
Yes,
and having people gathering information, telling me the story at 3:45 every day. I get a report sheet of what the attendance was, who's absent, and we tracking who's 2 days in a row. If they're absent 2 days in a row, we don't know why. They get a phone call, they don't pick it up. We go to their house. You know, like, and so it's then like, what do you do with that? And it's a lot of hardworking conversations with families to say this is important. One of the steps, when you say about, it's not a solution. There's no solutions. It's part of a plan.
Great distinction.
Right? You
Great
know,
distinction.
like so. For instance, we have, and I'd love to show it with you. I'll share it with you. Is we have a pledge.
Okay.
We're doing this the first time. It's essentially a social contract. What I commit to my staff, what we're going to provide education-wise to students.
Okay.
What the students are going to commit to, and what the families are going to commit to. And a couple of highlights there. One is I commit to coming to school on time every day. To be a member, a vibrant member of this community, I need to show up every time on every day. I need to keep my kid in school all day. As you know, another issue we have is tardiness and early dismissal.
Yes,
people,
absolutely.
Again, seeing school is optional. It's not like. Then we have academic expectations. How people are going to monitor social media. That's another public health crisis.
Yes.
How kids are using and abusing social media and the cyberbullying and all this stuff. So we have like a pledge that teachers, administrators, parents, and students sign. And it's just, it's trying to build the campaign.
Okay.
That everybody commits to this. And then you're missing days. You committed to doing this. And so we have a competition in the school who can return the most pledges by the end of October. But I think, and then what we want to do is we want to develop basically a campaign around attendance. Now, why do you people are saying, if the number one reason why people are saying they're keeping kids home, you can guess it, sick.
Yeah.
And you never want a kid to come to school sick, but define sick.
Very true.
You know, you got to define it. The kid's got to have a fever. Did they vomit? Have they been fever free for 24 hours? And they can come back to school. And kids can come back to school with a mask on.
Yes.
You know, I'm not saying come to school when you're really sick. What I'm saying is people are kind of sick. I got a headache, and I'm
going to stay home. Yeah.
And I'm going to stay home for 2 days. That kills my attendance.
Yeah.
You know? So it's the mindset. Why do I stay home? That my school needs me here. President Daniels, who I work with very closely, the president of JHU, who oversees our school, I have to report out our numbers all the time. And he basically gave me the tough conversation. You're not going to be a successful organization with 32% of your population being chronically absent.
It hurts everything else.
It hurts the morale. It hurts if you're in a class of 25 kids and a third of your students aren't there, it ruins the learning community. So we're really pushing hard on this.
And you made a conscious commitment to put resources into that plan, which a lot of schools have not, right? Like it's almost like an afterthought. So, you know, I definitely want to commend you by, you know, really committing to making that shift and putting those resources there.
Well, I mean, I'm going to say I tried it the other way.
Yeah.
I literally, the way I knew it had to get, I learned early that this has to be a case management approach.
Yes.
Like, it's not going to be like home visits will do it. So what I did was I tracked all the chronic, that's the number one thing. You need good data.
Yes.
Okay? Again, mindset shift.
Yeah.
2 absences a month leads you to be chronically absent. So a lot of families are going to be like, 2 absences, that's not a big deal. We have to enforce that's a big deal.
Yes.
Because by the time you get to April and you've done 2 absences a month, you're already almost chronically absent.
Yes.
So, but we pull the list. We start pulling it now. It's end of September. How many are on track? And we look at them and we talk to those families. And I had one of, I think this is what you're talking about, existing staff members on my team, the counselor, me, other people, grade by grade by grade. I was assigned a grade last year, 7th grade. And I had a caseload. And my job was to call those kids, know where they are, make sure they show up, right? Sounds reasonable. 9 grades, 9 adults. But guess what? We all have full-time jobs. And it became really hard to keep on touch with. Yeah, calls were made, but was call made every time? Did everybody put their notes in?
Because there's so many competing priorities of what needs to happen and what people have to do.
If you're a full-time guidance counselor in the school and you're doing this. So now I've got 2 people. We have a data tracker. We have every note from every call. We can track everybody, and we can really try to go hard at, getting kids here and understanding the issue, but then doing something about it too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, so I want to thank you, one, for being innovative, thinking outside the box, being willing to address things differently, and then giving us an opportunity to really partner and try to figure this out. Because I think a very salient point that you made is that it's a part of a plan, and there's no easy solution, or we would have done it, right? Like it's literally every single student is case by case. So I want to thank you. I want to thank you for the partnership. Thank you for the opportunity. Like this is the model that we've quite frankly been trying to push because of what we've learned, of what did not work.
Yeah, you and I brainstormed that. We said,
so,
when we looked at the home visits, again, we had 120 kids. You guys went out and visited them twice, and our numbers weren't moving. And we both were like, I said, what's it going to take to go deeper? And this is what you suggested, and we're following up, and we're going to just keep. There's no magic bullet. Like we got to just keep plugging away and like create a culture change, behavior change here. And I think we could do it. The other thing I'd say, and I think as we're wrapping up, is like everyone's going to say they don't have money, right? They don't have resources. Everyone says that.
Yes.
It's really not the case.
No, it's
not the case. The money that we're putting, the investment I put in here, if I can get to 96% attendance, my goal is 96% attendance, and I'm looking to half my chronic absenteeism, the bang for the buck that will give me is completely worth the investment. So people will say that. Leaders will say that, I know.
Yes.
But they've also got to be real. We've been infused with ESSER money as well as Maryland Blueprint money.
Yes.
And there are resources to support this work, and it should be prioritized.
Absolutely. And, just to end off on that, the fact that it's truly a partnership. And I can't say that authentically with every school or district I work with. It's more like 80-20. It's not working.
Yeah.
It's truly a partnership about getting better. So I want to appreciate you coming by. Yeah. Thank you for sharing. I look forward to the partnership.
Yeah.
As always, you can catch everything on concentric.world. I want to thank everybody for listening in. You're going to be seeing this after the major announcement that we have that we were a recipient of a $5 million grant from New Market Venture Partners, one of the first minority companies in the portfolio. It will help us really expand our work and really reach out and connect with a lot more schools and districts across the country. So I do want to always thank New Markets Venture Partners for supporting this work. See you next time, one door at a time.